welcome to my Botswana. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are watching us from. Today in studio, I have a very interesting young man by the name Tinah. Tinah would introduce himself to you with his full names. I like calling him Tinah with his short name. He's into safari business. You might have also noticed that in our past few episodes, we were too much on safari, which is very necessary because safari in Botswana is very diverse. There is a lot to learn, and there is a lot that we are going to show you as time goes on. Tinah, welcome to my Botswana. Can you please introduce yourself to the viewers, your names, your company, and what you do?
Thank you so much, TPLS. My name is Tinah, but I have the first name, which is Mr Tinah Cocks. That's my last name. I can simply say I come from Khwai in the Sankuyu, which is on the northern side of Mau. My father comes from Sankuyu village, and my mother comes from Khwai. I'm a young man who is eager into knowing, understanding, participating in the tourism industry. It is one of the economic engines that is bringing GDP to the country. Yes, I schooled in Mau and attended my junior secondary school, tertiary, and I'm now an entrepreneur in the tourism industry under a brand called Khwai Safari Grounds, and which is a subsidy of Bakati Baremi and Company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now take us through a little bit on Khwai Safari Grounds. I understand that you're dealing with campsites. What motivated you to do campsites as compared to lodges or other safari ventures?
Okay. Thank you. I come from a little while, 6 years ago, when I realized that my company is taking shape. Before that, I was doing Mokoro, actually. I started trying to come up with some ideas, rough ideas of which business idea can I do best in. By then, the environment was too harsh for us as young people. There was no employment. We could not get any job. So I brought in quite a number of ideas. And out of those ideas, they were actually tourism business ideas. One of them which got my interest was Mokoro, to provide Mokoro trips to tourists traveling between Moremi and Chobe, which is in Khwai. And at the start of it, I had to apply for the tourist enterprise license, which is category H. And yes, successfully I had to convince land board to give me a small piece of land where I can pack my Mokoros. And as you may know, I had to quickly think about something that can increase revenue in the company. And I went back to land board a few months later to apply for an accommodation space. I didn't want to call it a campsite because by then the government was too strict into issuing those tourism licenses. There was a freeze or ban, or some they call it moratorium, which was the suspension of all the tourism licenses in the northwestern part, including Khwai. So I had to find ways of how I convinced the government to allow me operate in that during that harsh condition. And I had to apply for a land for me to pack my Mokoros. And because I was in my head thinking about for a small business, that's when a campsite cropped into my mind. And I had to not easily write the name campsite on the application. I had to write accommodation space.
due to the regulations.
Due to the regulation and the stringent measures that we put in place.
I'm saying this because I want the viewers to understand that you have followed all the proper legal procedures to arrive to where you are, and that is why we have decided to invite you to my Botswana.
Oh.
Yeah. And now, tell me, while you are in the bush, how do you relate with animals, both from land and from the water? Because you do mokoro, at the same time you do accommodation campsite. And do you think that the relationship which is in the wild, can it be similar to the one which we find in this in our communities? Because nowadays we talk much about human-wildlife conflict.
Yes, thank you. I do relate a lot with wildlife or nature itself. It's natural because I was born and bred in Khwai, where one would know it's a game-rich area. It has got too much of wildlife, including animals, and as well as dangerous animals. Yes, today it's a bit more interesting because now I encounter with animals or wildlife because of the business, the nature of the business I am in. I'm a guide, I'm a professional guide. So I went through a training, theory part of it, and an industrial training for how to interact with animals. During our mokoros, we are trying to apply as good as we can in terms of safety to our tourists, because remember, they only come here to enjoy or explore, experience what we have in Botswana, or particularly in the Delta. So we are trying to make sure that safety becomes priority. We are, from time to time, we get to train ourselves into how we can take care of them. So to deal with or to interact with animals, it's something that we live by.
Yeah. To me, you seem to be a motivated youth. There are so many youth out there. What can you say to them? Do you believe in government handouts, or you believe in hard work, or you believe in both?
Actually, I don't believe in government handouts. I prefer governments doing empowerment to anybody who wants to stand up for his life. We are all given different talent by God, so we cannot wait for the government to give us what we can put on the table. So the issue of bread and butter should just encourage you to know that you can't depend on government handouts. So I'm motivated by different things because I don't want to work for anybody. I believe in working for myself or for the company that I own.
Okay, I had asked my previous question looking at the fact that there is a very high unemployment rate in our country. How do you think the youth can contribute all by themselves before involving government to the unemployment rate?
Yes, of course, there's no how we can put aside those government initiatives that are in place. There are a lot of policies that talks about the young people. It's just a matter of finding ways of how they can access those policies or make use of those policies. Today we are talking about the government has put, especially in the tourism industry, licenses that are reserved only for the citizen. So if I would say, I would encourage the young people to group themselves, because when they have grouped themselves, resources would be much better, because the only thing that is challenging is scarcity of resources. There is lack of resources. Young people do not have funds. So to start up a business, you need enough capital. So I would just encourage them to maybe come together, some sort of consortium or groups, and they can see what they can do, because the private sector as well needs some young, energetic people to employ.
Okay, let's go back to business a little bit. What is your take on high-end safari versus low or medium-sized campsites? I believe that you do not charge exorbitant prices. What is your take? Do you think that it is good for the economy or for the country, or it is not good?
No, it is good. It's a good thing to have high-end tourism and low to medium value tourism. Why? Because the first scale gives us an opportunity or access as startup for starters. Those who want to start business, if we are to say we only concentrate on the high end, nobody would be participating there. So not everyone will be affording to have a high-end business. Why? Because it is something that is maybe you are required of so many requirements. So you will meet quite a number of things for you to be categorized as a high-end business. So I appreciate if for the government to allow classes which include low to medium value tourism.
Okay, are there any prospects of growth on your business? Maybe you end up being one of the high-end businesses in the tourism industry.
Of course, there is so much hope. I believe that one day I will have something to say, looking back and say, yes, now I have arrived to compete now with the big companies, the big boys. So I believe that there is so much growth I'm realizing at the moment.
And do you have any preparations that you are making already to grow?
Yeah, of course. First, I needed to understand the market for my business. But now I can see at least I have got a brand that is well known. Now it's just a matter of introducing another product, which is now will help me grow. Maybe putting up a small lodge there, and we can now talk about competing.
At the very end, can you please say something to the viewers, the tourists out there? Say something about Botswana, about Khwai, as well as Khwai Safari Grounds.
Khwai Safari Grounds is no doubt it's a growing brand. We are almost known in the spaces in the market industry. I would simply assure my customers that we will try to maintain our services to the best servicing standard. We will uphold all the regulations. We will try to assure them safety whenever they are within our facility or around the area. Botswana is a peaceful country, as we all know, and we are embracing a growing economy at the moment. So I cannot simply put aside the government. Government is doing a lot for our country, because we can see investors are coming all over the country to look for opportunities to invest in our country. By that it means we have got a stable economy. So that's what I can say.
Tinah, thank you very much for gracing us here in studio. We wish you all the best in your future. We wish your company all the best. Our viewers out there, that was Tinah. We hope that one day you have the opportunity to pass by Khwai and visit his place.